Ever wondered what the difference between a function and a method is in Python? If you've ever been confused about when to use which, you are not alone. In today's tutorial, we are going to break down these two concepts in a hands-on project-focused way. No boring definitions, just pure practical examples to help you build projects. Welcome to today's tutorial. We are talking functions and methods, two of the most used building blocks in Python. Whether you're creating a simple calculator or a massive web app, knowing how to use these functions effectively is a must. But don't worry, we're going to make this fun, hands-on, and easy to follow. So grab your cup of coffee, open your favorite IDE, and let's dive in. For this tutorial, I'll be using Jupyter Notebook. Let's start with functions. You can think of them as little workers you hire to get specific tasks done. You tell them what you need, they do it, and then give you the result. Functions can work independently. They don't need to be tied to anything specific, just your instructions. But here is the thing, as useful as functions are, there is a little trick we will discover when we start working with objects. We'll get there soon. For now, let's focus on getting our first function set up. Let's see the following code. So what did we just do? We created a function called greet that takes a name and returns personalized message. Try plugging in different names. This function doesn't care what name you give it. It will work regardless. And here is the kicker. You can reuse this function as many times as you like. No need to rewrite it. Now, functions are great for general tasks, but what if you want something more specific, like working with a certain kind of data, say a string or a list? That's where methods come in, and that's what covers next. Alright, time for the next big player, methods. If functions are your independent workers, think of methods as specialized tools that belong to specific objects. For example, a method can live inside a string, list, or dictionary objects. It's like that thing you only use when working with wood or metal. Each tool is built for a specific purpose. Let's see this in action. Here, upper is a method, but notice how you can't just call upper on its own. It's tied to my string, which is a string object. Methods are specific to the data type they belong to, unlike functions, which are free agents. Here is a simple analogy. Imagine functions as general tools like hammer. You can use it to hit anything, but methods are like a screwdriver. You can only use it on screws. They are both tools, but the way you use them is different. Let's say you want to organize some data in a list or modify a string. Would you use a method or a function? We'll answer that by diving into real world example next. Let's make this even more real. Imagine you're building a simple to-do list manager. You have a list of tasks and you want to sort them alphabetically. Here is where methods come into play. Let's see this example. In this case, sort is a method that directly modifies the list. You see how it's specific to list. You can't call sort on a string. But what if you want to do something general, like adding two numbers together? You had used a function for that. Now let's switch the gears and use a function. Imagine you're building a budget app. You want to calculate how much money you have spent this month. Boom! In this example, calculate total is a function that takes in a list of expenses and gives you the sum. This is where functions shine. They are not tied to any particular type of data. You can pass in numbers, strings, or even more complex structures. But here is a problem. What if you need to do both manipulating lists and calculating values? Should we use functions, methods, or both? We'll tackle that next. Let's combine both functions and methods in a simple example. Imagine you have a list of expenses that you want to sort in ascending order before calculating the total. See the following code example. Let's define our function calculate total sorted and pass in the expenses as a parameter. We'll call the sort method on expenses and return the sum of the expenses. Let's say our monthly expenses is 200, 1,200, 350, 500. So to get the total sorted, we do this. I will print. Here you are using method sort to organize your data and then a function sum to calculate the results. Notice how they complement each other. Functions and methods often work together to get things done. You might be wondering, when should I use a function and when should I use a method? It really depends on what you're working with. If you're manipulating an object like a list or a string, you will often use methods. But if you're doing something that doesn't depend on an object, functions are your go-to. But what about Python's built-in functions versus the ones you write yourself? Let's look at that next. Python gives you a lot of built-in functions like print, len, and sum, but you can also define your own functions to tackle specific problems as we have done in this tutorial. Built-in functions are super handy for everyday tasks, but user-defined functions give you the power to customize and solve your specific problems. The balance between the two is what makes Python so flexible. And there you have it. Functions and methods may seem similar, but they have different rules in your code. If you are building a project, knowing when to use a function versus a method will make your code cleaner and more efficient. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more project-based Python tutorials. And hey, what will you build with your function and methods? Let me know in the comments below. Knowing how to use these tools effectively is a must.